Greetings, Clobbers, and welcome to another Clobby'S Comics Corner Spinner Rack Time Machine. This for January, week 4, 1972, where I take my Spinner Rack Time Machine back into the past 50 years, a good round number, I think, and open up the doors so you can come in and, well, pick out your faves of that time. I will pick as I always do, for those who are not familiar with this video, and if you're not, there's a link to a playlist for all of them. I've been doing them since September of 2021. And what I do is I go back 50 years and I go into my comic shop, which is my TARDIS, which is looks like a spinner rack from the Bronze Age of comics, 1972 circa-ish. And then, of course, I pick out, well, I show you a little bit of all the comics, but I pick out anywhere from 8 to 10, 12, whatever, of my new comics for my pull list, as it were, and show you just some of the ones I would have chosen for that week. And then in the follow-up video, of course, I show you the ones I did not pick up, but that were available out there. So we'll get to it quite quickly. We will get on the move with that in just a second here. First, of course, well, there's no need to, let's go ahead. I'm going to give you like a quick trip of the ones for here from week 1 through 4 here. So to start off with, in week 1, here we go. And it'll be quickly, of course, just a little rundown of the comics that were available that I picked up off the rack in week 1. Week 1, like I said, these are the ones I would have chosen. Not necessarily the ones everybody else would have chosen, of course. But there you have it. And then there was week 2, which I had some good stuff as well. All these nifty old Bronze Age covers. I love me some Bronze Age, as you all are, well, probably painfully aware of it by this point. So, and those are the rundowns from week 1 and week 2. Then, of course, there was week 3 last week. And since there's awkward now a number of weeks, sometimes I skip one to go to the last bit. This is going to be running on the last day of the month, pretty much, this video. But week 3 was, here we go, for week 3. And, of course, in each video for each of these weeks, I talk a little bit about, nothing deep dive or anything, but a little bit about each issue in terms of what's out there, what they are, and the creative team, which I think is important because the creators of these comics, so many of them got very little, for their efforts and for their works. And I like to acknowledge that a little bit more so than, the story and all that stuff is great, but you can find that anywhere and deep dives on that. So it's just these videos are brief, where I give a little appreciation to what was a wonderful, thriving comic book industry at that point in 1972, and I'll do that in this video. I will show you my selections for week 4, and then in the follow-up video, the quick bits video, as I call it, a much shorter video where I just show you a little bit of the tidbits of what comics were available out there that week, because as you can see, there were quite a few. This is, of course, Mike's Amazing World blog. It's extraordinary for this kind of research. There's a link in my description below if you'd like to check it out and see if you want to look up any comic ever, when it came out, the month, the day, the release date, all the great info on it, if you like doing that sort of thing. And as you can see by this, just, scrolling down quickly, how many titles there were per month when it was a healthy and thriving, I think anyway, comic book industry. And, now I will show you my choices for week 4. And we will start out with Astonishing Tales number 9, featuring Kazar the Savage, as they used to call him. Well, they called him that later. An old character, started actually in pulps, and Marvel, kind of adapted him from pulps, and very early on in the Timely days, before they were Marvel, actually. With this, in this case, story, Roy Thomas, art, Gil Kane and Frank Giosia, and, of course, covered by the great Gil Kane and the great John Romita. I say the great a lot because these were when the greats were thriving. These were when the greats were really doing all the great comics. So it's a frequent word you'll hear here at Clobber Times, because I believe in acknowledging and paying respects to the extraordinary artists, writers, and creative people of the past, and the Bronze Age is just something that means a lot to me. The silver's also does the silver and gold age. I'm a gold, silver, Bronze Age guy. Anyway, Fantastic Four number 121. I first read this in a reprint, Treasury edition, actually. Story, Stan Lee, allegedly anyway. Art, John Buscema, Joe Sennett. Love that Buscema team. Love Joe Sennett, the great one. And of course, covered by Buscema and Sennett. I believe this is, when we find out a little bit more about Gabriel, the Airwalker, Herald of Galactus. Great stuff, if I'm remembering correctly. Interesting here, Monsters on the Prowl number 16. This is a King Cole story. This is a Howard, adapted from a Robert E. Howard story, of course, which done by the guy who brought Robert E. Howard to us all, really is responsible for bringing us Conan and the other works of the great Two Gun Bob, Robert E. Howard. And yes, and so this is an early King Cole story before he got a title, of course. And this is, again, because this is 1972. So the first story, of course, adapted from Robert E. Howard by Roy Thomas, and John and Marie Severin, the wonderful John and Marie Severin's brother and sister artists, both just two sensational artists of the Silver and Bronze Age for Marvel and other things, of course, as well. Great. I'm a big fan of the Severins myself. I love, and Marie Severin, one of the wonderful and rarely, mentioned at the time, especially female comic book artists in a male-dominated profession. She was just extraordinary. I love Marie Severin. Great artist. Story Art 2 is a reprint from Journey into Mystery number 68 by the great legendary Steve Ditko. And then we have for the third story, because there was a lot of reprinting going on. As I always point out, they weren't doing their reprints in trade paperbacks and stuff the way they do today. Whole lot of reprinting going on back then in the side of their comics. The comics mixed in with new stuff a lot of the times. Some of them just all-out dedicated reprints, but other times they would mix them up, of course. Story 3 here, a reprint from Strange Tales, number 99, Stan Lee, Jack Kirby, Dick Ayers, with a nifty John Severin cover. With you can't beat that, with King Cole on the cover. That's a nice cover. Those 3 white background covers in a row. Here we go now with a different one there. Sergeant Fury and his Howling Commandos, number 97. Story, Gary Friedrich, art, Dick Ayers and Jim Mooney, and with the cover by, again, just a great cover by John Severin. He was just so extraordinary with the war comics covers and the Western comics covers and every other kind of cover, really. And of course, this Hulk work. Of course, I love his work on the Hulk. So that's great stuff there. Let's see. Strange Adventures, number 235. Story and art. And I think this is probably mostly reprints here. Reprint Mystery in Space, number 75. The legendary Gardner Fox, a Clobber Times Hall of Famer. Carmen Infantino, the extraordinary. I always love the Infantino Murphy Anderson team. So art by that team. Second story is a reprint from Strange Adventures, number 72. Let's see here. Yeah, that is, of course, Sid Gershon and John Giunta. This, of course, an older story. A lot of these older science fiction stories. And I probably messed his name up. I apologize. Story 3, Strange Adventures 119. More by the great Fox and Anderson team there. And a cover by Carmen Infantino, Neil Adams, and Dick Giordano. That's a mix right there for sure. Superboy, number 183, story and art by Leo Dorfman, art Bob Brown and Murphy Anderson. And I think I'm pretty sure I have a pretty decent Superboy collection. I have I got a bunch of these, and I know I have this issue, but I haven't looked at it in a long time, of course. Second story, Carrie Bates, George Tuska, and Vince Coletta. Wow. Let that team sink in. No offense to you, Bud Buddy. I know you're a Tusco guy, but if you ever want to, Coletta could ruin the good artists. So the questionable ones. Anyway, what a team up, huh? Third story is, of course, a reprint from Adventure Comics 285. Robert Bernstein, Kurt Swan, Stan Kay. It's a Legion of Superheroes story, so you know that. Now you know why I have this issue, even though I collected Superboy anyway, of course. I'm just trying to get all of these. And a great Nick Cardy cover. World's Finest, number 210. This is when they kind of got away from for a while. They got away from it being a Batman Superman shared book, and sort of made it a precursor to the much later than this DC Comics Presents, where it was sort of like that. For a while, it was Superman teaming up with a different hero. In this case, with the great Ollie Queen, Green Lantern. I called Ollie Queen Green Lantern. That's how old I am. I'm such an idiot. I'm so senile. Green Arrow, and especially as I'm looking right at the cover. Senile. Sorry, folks. Oh, I hate when I do crap like that. That's what happens when you try to go too fast with these videos. But I like to get them in and out quickly, so I apologize for speaking quickly. I'm so sorry. I'll tone it back a little. It's just, again, you don't want the video to run too long. Or you said, I don't want to, keep you fine, folks, too long, Story and Art 1, Elliot S. Magan, I should say. Dick Dillon, Joe Giella. Story Art 2, a reprint from Sensation Comics #2, Sheldon Moldoff, a Golden Age great. Story and Art 3, reprint World's Best Comics #1, because originally World's Finest Comics was World's Best Comics for the first issue. Gardner Fox, Harry Lampert. Cover, Neil Adams and Dick Giordano. Action Comics 410. Story and Art. It's a Cary Bates, Kurt Swan, Murphy Anderson combo. Always got to love that. I like the Cary Bates era of Superman. Story Art 2 would be Bates and John Callanan and Murphy Anderson. What Murphy Anderson got around. What a great inker, great Superman inker. Reprint for the third story, Teen Titans, #4, I believe. Bob Haney, Mr. Continuity, and the great Nick Cardy with another great Nick Cardy cover. Adventure Comics 417, Story and Art, Steve Skates, Bob Oxner, Jose Delbo on the combo there of the Story and the Art. Story and Art 2, reprint of Action Comics 161, Joe Samichin, and believe it or not, the Frank Frazetta. That's, of course, a reprint from an old Adventure Comics when Frank Frazetta was still working in comics a long time ago, back in the 50s, of course. But yes, the legendary Frank Frazetta reprint in that one. Wow. Oh man, that's fantastic. I don't think I have that issue either. I need to get it. But I wonder how much it is. Story Art, don't tell me, by the way. Art #3, shared story by Marv Wolfman and Steve Skates with arts by the extraordinary Gray Morrow. Big Gray Morrow fan here. Reprint Strange #4 is a reprint from Strange Adventures 187 by Mr. Continuity Bob Haney, Howard Purcell, and Shelley Moldoff, with a cover by Bob Oxner, who seemed to be stuck doing the Supergirl covers a lot. Detective Comics 427, Story Art 1. Wow, I don't even know what to say about this. I mean, look, no offense, but the man had just gotten old. I didn't really like this art at this point. Frank Robbins, writer. And, of course, he did the art, both pencils and inks, on the first story. And he wrote the second story with Don Heck art. Okay. Buy at your own peril. Everything about this issue kind of says slumming it. You got a reprint from Batman 24, Don Cameron, but, of course, the great Jerry Robinson, at least. And then you have another story, which I believe is new, George Kashdan and Leonard Starr. Kashdan used to write a lot of the Filmation Superman cartoons, I remember, and Superboy ones probably as well. Cover, Neil Adams, Alan Kuperberg, and Dick Giordano. Everything about this issue is messy, isn't it? Even that, I never really liked that detective logo much either, but I'm just being picky. And finally, for the month of January, we have the Twilight Zone from Gold Key. No, these are difficult to research, folks. Nothing on the writers of the various stories, but the art, of course, by Luis Dominguez, Joe Cerda, Jack Sparling, Mike Vosberg, I guess that's where he was before he went to Marvel, and Giovanni Tiki, with a cover by the great, or at least we think it is, because you never 100% sure, but we think it is by the great Gold Key painter George Wilson. And so that will about wrap it up for Clobby'S Comics Corner Spinnerect Time Machine, January 1972, week 4. And thank you so much for being here, Clobberers. I'm sorry I talked so fast. I wanted to didn't want to keep you too long. So I tried to get all that info in there. I apologize if I mumbled it through there. I'm working on it. I'll get better one of these days. Yeah, right. I'm almost to 1,000 episodes of the stream, and I've never got that right yet. So good luck with that with the videos. But hey, I really hope you enjoyed it. I enjoy having you here. Thank you so much, my friends. And as always, a big shout out to my wonderful first officer, the incomparable R.M. Briggs, Raquel Briggs, for this spiffy intro, outro for Clobby'S Comics Corner. And I will see you next time, hopefully here and on the streams. And of course, please check out my description below. Please like and subscribe if you will. And hey, look at all those links I got down there. Until then, until next time, clobber on, clobberers.